Hello all, welcome back. Alan here. So we're going back to 1981, and I've thought about this track for a while because when I first heard it, and we'll get into that, that's what we're going to talk about. When did I first hear it? What do I think of it now? When did you first hear it? What do you think of it now? Do you actually know Simple Minds? Is this new to you? And there's all sorts of little tidbits. Have a look at the lyrics, you'll see all that. But we're going back to 1981. And this was the first time I remember hearing Simple Minds. And I've talked about this in other reactions when I was listening to them in 1984. But it's just, I want to remember why I liked it and what do I think of it now. So let's get into it. And we'll get back, I'll pull it back for the lyrics. 81, where was I? I was just doing my military basic training in the UK, and I think Human League Day was the biggest album of that year. It was going on everywhere. I'd also been listening to things like Stiff Little Fingers, Gary Newman. There was bits flying around. Prince, I'd heard Prince by then. So I was kind of like being bombarded. But when I heard this is kind of, and you'll recognize it's got that post-punk synth-driven, but not new wavy. It's a hybrid of that, because it's definitely got a focus on a drum beat, a drive. And I was literally, this is off Sons of Fascination, Sister Feelings Call, 81. And I remember hearing it at the time, vividly remember hearing it thinking, what the frig is this? Because it wasn't there. It wasn't Heaven 17. And I certainly wasn't listening to bands like Rush. You'll hear me on the channel. I wasn't listening to Rush. I wasn't listening to Yes. I wasn't listening to Genesis. I was Bowie a little bit because of my older brother. But I wasn't kind of enamored by any of that. I was post-ska, the Specials, and all of that. It was a whole heady mix of just everything being thrown at me. But this stood out because of that beat and drive. Let's pull it back. So America's the boyfriend that you can't have, untouched. There's some dualism going on here. In coats of many colour, Joseph. Reptile Man, drop us. Stay below it, temperature drop. It's the Cold War. That was 81. I was later going to go and be on the border, on the East-West border. And I didn't understand all those lyrics then. Jesus, I was 16, 17, I had a clue. Songs hit you at 16, and yes, some will stand out and some will hit you emotionally, but actually being able to relatively reasonably try and articulate my thoughts around the lyrics would have been not nigh on impossible, but it wasn't where I was at with my maturation. I was just basically post-puberty. But this drive in his voice, and over 40 years later, it's never changed. I still think they're great. And they were about to break with Don't You, Breakfast Club. But this is a subtle change on the album. Go listen, it's a good album. Really good album. And Sparkle in the Rain, great albums over those years. But yeah, so it's dualism, it's Cold War, it's in the heady times of that period. Cold War was still in full swing, was to be for another 9 years. Yeah. Look at those two sections. Flesh of heart, flesh of steel. That's dualism, poetic dualism. Then you go to, I cut my hair, paint my face, break a finger, tell a lie. That's, well, we've seen ritualistic transformation before, right? A willingness, basically, to conform, to offer yourself up, survival or identity in a chaotic world. That's what it's talking about. But it's deeply dystopian. It's not a love song. It's not a love song at all. And I like that dualism, the love song and the dystopia in the same frame. I don't care as much about the message. I kind of care that it's making me think about how I was living my life in that moment and the driving beat of the song and the vocals, and it's all really good. And kind of the message, it's not that it's irrelevant, it's that it kind of just makes me think, okay, at 16, I was kind of laser focused for a 16-year-old to avoid poverty. I came from a working class part of the UK. Unemployment was then about 28%. It's now still about 26%. You either had to go in the shipyards, you either had to go down the coal mines. And I wasn't frightened of hard work. It's just that my dad was like, he said, not you, son. Do something different. Well, I couldn't cut wood. I wasn't frightened of digging mines, but I just thought it wasn't in my family. It wasn't a trait of my family. The trait of my family was to go to sea, to go and be part of the maritime industry. And my dad told me it's possibly the hardest, dangerous, least paid profession you could ever consider getting into. So I was kind of focused, but I didn't know there was a dystopia out there. I lived in that world of borderline poverty at all times. So I can see where this is coming from. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know in the comments. So guys, is this song political or more emotional to you? Now or then? And it's fair to contrast how you think of it now, but if you heard it then, was it emotional? Because I think to me it was. It was what it made me feel and think on a, maybe not on a subconscious level, but more of a sort of, it was on the edges of beginning to grow up. And it's definitely dystopian. And it definitely relates to the Cold War, but it also talks about relationships and love. But between who? The state and you? The world and you? stay below, shout below it. It's a continuous phrase. So is that the suppression of resistance? Is that staying below or shouting below? Is that alluding to individual struggles? Beneath this, at the time, you had that Cold War dystopian ideology, West versus East. Is that what he's singing? Is that what he's trying to tell you? I don't know. You let me know, guys. Let me know. And what does America's a Dream mean to you in context with this song? Is it a Cold War love song? What is America's Dream? America's a Dream was a hit, kind of minor hit back in the day, 47 in the UK. I don't remember. I don't think someone must have been playing it because I know I owned those cassette tapes. I've talked about it in other reactions to Simple Minds that I had. I was listening to both of them on Christmas Day in the Falklands. Next day I was about to end up in hospital, but that's a different story altogether. So I wasn't embedded into them to such a degree, but I really thought they were cool. Now I was starting to listen to Talking Heads between 81 and 84. I remember hearing Psycho Killer. So there was definitely a lot going on, but this has stuck with me. First Simple Minds song I ever heard, and I haven't stopped listening to them for over 40 years. Not every day, but I still respect them. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Cool. Cool. What the hell am I doing? Till next time, guys, take care.